I was the private physician Cole Davenport hired for a substantial sum, tasked specifically with managing his chronic gastritis. One night, after someone had slipped something into his drink at a gala, he made the call he was accustomed to making. His voice, usually so composed, was frayed when he told me he felt unwell. The result was that the moment I stepped through his door, he had me pinned against the wall. When I arrived at Cole Davenport's estate, the house manager, Arthur, was already waiting at the entrance. He reported with a grave expression that the young master had been expecting me for some time. I managed a tight smile, finding the formality of Arthur's address an archaic quirk. I inquired if Cole had taken any medication, noting that he had sounded particularly distressed over the phone. Arthur remained silent, merely gesturing for me to follow. The cavernous living room was empty. He led me directly to the second-floor master suite and knocked softly on the door, announcing my arrival before turning and descending the stairs with a swiftness that belied his age. The door swung open, and the light from the hallway spilled onto Cole's flushed face. He rasped a question about why I had taken so long, his voice low and gravelly, like a rain-soaked animal seeking shelter. I asked him if he was all right. He was not. In the next instant, the lost creature became a predator. One hand seized my wrist while the other slid to the small of my back, pulling me forward as the door slammed shut behind us. His kiss was a frantic, desperate collision, scorching the air and making it thick and heavy. Moonlight, filtering through a gap in the heavy drapes, illuminated the tangled dance of our shadows on the wall. I opened my eyes to an unfamiliar, cream-colored ceiling. The arm beneath my neck was hard and radiated an intense heat. I was in Cole Davenport's bed. I had to leave. Holding my breath, I began to inch away. My bare feet met the shockingly cold marble floor, and I suppressed a gasp. The room was a disaster of discarded clothing. My briefs were tangled on a minimalist sofa, my shirt and pants strewn in opposite directions. I scooped them all into my arms, my hands shaking as I dressed, muttering curses at Cole under my breath. The door opened and closed with a soft click. I bolted down the stairs and ran straight into Arthur, who had been conspicuously absent all night. I yelped and slapped a hand over his mouth, then remembered his complicity and shot him a resentful glare. I warned him with a fierce whisper never to speak of my visit. He simply blinked in understanding. I released him, then scurried out of the villa like a thief, hailing the first rideshare I could find and fleeing home. I threw myself into my jacuzzi tub, and as the hot water enveloped me, the marks on my body became more pronounced. The red welts on my chest and inner thighs were a vivid, damning testament to the night. I stared at them, an overwhelming urge to cry welling up inside me. This wasn't how you treated a patient. My relationship with Cole was supposed to be a pristine, professional arrangement. He had a condition. I had the expertise. It was simple. Now, everything was a chaotic mess. The loss of my dignity was a minor injury compared to the impending loss of my job. Cole was the ideal client. Generous, low maintenance, with incredible benefits. Such employers were a rarity. He was famously detached, having once had his security escort a former assistant out of the building for removing her blazer during a presentation. He was equally uninterested in men. A business associate who once tried to place an attractive young man in his hotel suite found their partnership dissolved the next morning. What would be the consequence of actually sleeping with him? It would be catastrophic. I could practically see my handsome salary and the new sports car I was saving for taking flight and diving into a fiery abyss. I submerged my head, trying to force some clarity into my panicked mind. But why hadn't I pushed him away? Why hadn't I screamed no? Was it the searing heat of his lips, or the desperate, feverish glint in his drug-hazed eyes that had undone me? Then it hit me. He was intoxicated and drugged. His mind was likely a complete blur. He wouldn't remember a thing, let alone my face. Just like that, the threat of unemployment seemed to vanish. For the next few weeks, Cole showed no sign of remembering anything. A single text message from him, complaining of discomfort, was all it took for me to rush to his side. Upon my arrival, Arthur would already have a bowl of soothing broth on the table, alongside an assortment of healthy snacks. He was a truly considerate employer and a remarkably compliant patient. I would review his dietary restrictions and medication schedule, and Cole would sit there, listening with the earnest attention of a star student, his hands nearly clasped behind his back. He never mentioned that night, his expression so clear and untroubled it was as if it had never happened. But it had happened. Cole may not remember, but I did. Every time I was near him, my mind was flooded with explicit images from that night. To make matters worse, he was completely oblivious to my turmoil. On several occasions, I arrived to find him fresh from a shower, wearing nothing but a towel slung low on his hips. I had to gently suggest that perhaps he should get fully dressed before seeing me. He would just frown, asking why it mattered now when it never had before. Before? Had I touched and tasted and slept with him before? Eventually, Cole started remembering to dress beforehand, but it hardly mattered. I knew precisely what lay beneath the fabric. I could close my eyes and trace the elegant contours of his muscles from memory. I was ruined. My prior affection for him had been like admiring a perfectly roasted duck through a shop window. A fleeting glance, a check of the wallet, and the desire was contained. But now I'd had a taste. The crisp skin, the tender meat, the lingering flavor on my tongue. Now, whenever I passed that window, my feet refused to move. I wanted to devour the rest, bones and all. I snapped my medical case shut, avoiding his gaze, and told him to remember his medication as I was leaving. Arthur tried to persuade me to stay for dinner, mentioning he had prepared the lobster bisque I loved. I shook my head so vigorously it was a blur. If I stayed, it wouldn't be the bisque I'd be craving. Outside, the cool night air was a welcome relief, making it easier to breathe. The flashing red of a traffic light at the intersection pulsed in the darkness. I closed my eyes, but the images from that night assaulted me again. On impulse, I flagged down a taxi. I told the driver to take me to Spectrum, a notorious gay bar in West Hollywood. I had heard of it but never been. My desire for Cole, I reasoned, was a symptom of a monotonous life. A single ripple had become a tidal wave. I needed to enrich my existence. With more excitement in my life, that insignificant encounter with Cole would fade into irrelevance. So I went to the bar to find some fun. Spectrum lived up to its reputation. On the dance floor, men moved together in a tight, sweaty mass. Under the suggestive lighting, every face was painted with a carnal glow. In a corner booth, one man playfully looped his tie around another's wrist, his soft laughter belying the fire in his eyes. Another held a sip of his drink before leaning in to share it in a deep, lingering kiss. The air was a cocktail of melting ice, faint tobacco smoke, and an overwhelming surge of hormones. I stood there utterly out of my depth and swallowed hard. It was all so intense. A voice asked if I was there alone. A trendy-looking young man with painted lips and a sliver of exposed midriff approached me. He was beautiful, but not what I was looking for. I lied, claiming I was meeting someone, and made my way to the bar. I needed the strongest drink they had, and the most exciting man in the place. I drank a lot but found no one who fit the bill. The muscular ones felt like they could suffocate me. The slender ones looked as if they might snap. I finally spotted someone with a decent build, but his features were carelessly assembled. None of them were right. None of them were Cole. Cole was tall, with a perfectly shaped ass, lean but not skinny. The more I drank, the more clearly his image solidified in my mind. I shook my head, trying to dislodge him, but the figures in the distance only blurred further. Someone tapped my shoulder. I turned, and upon seeing the face, I asked what he was doing here. Recalling the pickup line from earlier, I tried it myself, asking if he was alone too. It was Mark, Cole's best friend and business partner. His gaze swept the room as he asked if I was by myself, and where Cole was. I didn't understand what Cole had to do with anything. I told him I was there to find a man. Mark raised an eyebrow, then a thumb. He remarked on my boldness, his sarcastic tone grating on my nerves. Fueled by alcohol, I lunged forward and grabbed his face, telling him to shut his mouth because he was annoying me. Mark swatted my hands away and patted my cheek. He then asked, in a softer tone, if I knew about Cole's first love, a classmate from high school. I didn't. My fingers froze in midair. I tried to sound casual as I asked what happened. Mark said that the person just left him. I asked what he meant by that, my words tumbling out faster. I asked if they broke up. He said it wasn't really a breakup. The spark of hope I felt was instantly extinguished. Not a breakup, but the person was gone? The alcohol churned in my stomach, and my throat felt raw. I demanded to know why he was telling me this. I said it was none of my business. He replied that maybe he was just a nice guy trying to give me a friendly. I snapped that I didn't need it. I whipped my head around, and a wave of dizziness sent a sharp pain through my temples. My vision went black and I pitched forward. Mark caught me with one arm and made a call. I heard him say that he had someone with him, and after a brief pause and a glance at me, he added with a dry laugh that my friend was now completely unconscious. The shock of cold water on my face woke me, but my body felt like limp spaghetti. Someone was supporting me, guiding me into a car, then into a bathroom. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a guest bed at Cole's estate, dressed in clean pajamas. Cole was standing beside the bed, rolling up his sleeves, which were damp at the cuffs. Mark's words replayed in my head. Cole had a first love who left him. I sat up, grabbed the front of his shirt, and kissed him. It was a clumsy, artless crash of lips and teeth. Cole turned his head away, his palm pressing against my shoulder. He told me I was drunk. I fell back against the pillows and heard myself agree that I was. The next morning, light piercing through the gap in the curtains felt like a spike in my skull. My throat was as dry as a desert. Fragments of the previous night surfaced. The bar, the bathroom, and the kiss Cole had rejected. I sat up, my scalp tingling with dread. The door opened and Cole walked in. He told me to get washed up and come down for breakfast. I mumbled an affirmative. When I looked up, I saw a small cut on the corner of his lip, a result of my clumsy assault. I clutched the blanket, my voice trembling as I said his name. Cole, his hand on the doorknob, turned back to look at me. At that moment, Mark's about being a nice guy exploded in my mind, and my resolve crumbled. My shoulders slumped in defeat. I apologized for the previous night. He was silent for a moment, his gaze sweeping over me before he advised me not to drink so much in the future, then left. At the breakfast table, Arthur placed a bowl of oatmeal in front of me, chiding me gently for drinking so heavily. I offered a weak smile, my spoon stirring circles in the bowl. I managed only a few bites before putting it down. Arthur frowned, asking if that was all I was going to eat. I shook my head, insisting I couldn't manage anymore. He was still trying to coax me when Cole, from across the table, set his chopsticks down with a sharp clack. His voice was glacial as he commanded me to finish it and not to waste food. I hunched over my bowl and ate every last bite, then excused myself, claiming I had an appointment. Walking down the street, I couldn't make sense of my own behavior. The first time after he had slept with me, I ran. This time, after I had forced a kiss on him, I ran again. Why was I always the one fleeing? Just because it was his house? I let out a bitter laugh. Even if it weren't his house, he wouldn't be the one to run. He was perfectly composed. I was the one with the guilty conscience. He had dismissed my actions as drunken foolishness, implying that nothing I did in that state counted. Not last night, and certainly not the night in his bed. Whether he had a first love, whether they had broken up, none of it had anything to do with me. Drinking was clearly a mistake. It was time to quit. For 7 straight days, Cole didn't contact me. I stared at his name pinned to the top of my empty message feed. my thoughts consumed by the termination letter I expected to receive from his assistant. It wouldn't be the end of the world if he fired me. With my skills, I could land a good job anywhere. But the thought of never seeing him again left a hollow ache in my chest. I tossed my phone aside in frustration. It chimed with a new message. I snatched it up. It was from Cole. He told me to pack a bag for a business trip the next day. The trip was to a small island off the California coast. The sky there was a brilliant, cloudless blue, the sand soft and white. Colorful fishing boats bobbed by the shore, and a gentle sea breeze blew. The cottage we rented was small, with only 2 bedrooms, but it was charming, with a little courtyard whose gate opened directly onto the beach. At night, you could hear the wind rustling through the leaves and the sound of the waves. In short, it was the perfect place for a vacation, and he was acting as if he were on one. Normally, Cole's assistant would accompany him on business trips, but this time it was just the 2 of us. I found it strange. He explained that it was just a preliminary site inspection, and there was no need to interrupt his employees' personal time. What a great boss, I thought wryly. He couldn't bear to inconvenience his actual staff, but had no problem tormenting me. The next day, he dragged me out before 5 in the morning to watch the sunrise. I walked barefoot with him across the cool sand, the chill seeping up through my soles and waking me completely. Cole wasn't one for conversation, so I had to initiate. I asked if he enjoyed watching the ocean. He gave a quiet affirmation. I laughed and said I did too. That was the end of that conversation. After the sunrise, we took a ferry, fed some gulls, collected seashells, and ate delicious fresh-shucked oysters. The oysters with a dab of horseradish were so good they made my eyes water. It was a shame Cole's stomach couldn't handle them. He suggested we watch the sunset before heading back, and I readily agreed. As the sun sank, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Cole suddenly asked if I was happy. I was taken aback for a moment, then nodded. I told him I was very happy. He smiled, his eyes on me, yet seeming to look through me to something far away. I wasn't even sure he was seeing me at all. In that moment, he reminded me of the little prince from the book, the one who watched the sunset 43 times in one day. I couldn't help but ask if he was happy. He said of course, his voice so soft it seemed the wind could carry it away. The twilight hour is the most tender, but also the most cruel. The weather on the coast is notoriously fickle. What had been a sunny morning had turned, and now it was starting to rain. A friend of Cole's, knowing he was in the area, had called and invited him out. Cole asked if I wanted to come, but I declined. It wasn't appropriate for an employee to tag along to a private gathering. After closing the windows in my room, I went to check on his. Sure enough, the rain had blown in. The desk by the window was soaked, and the sea breeze had flipped open a leather-bound journal lying on it. Logic told me to close the window and leave, but curiosity compelled me to open the book. It wasn't exactly a diary, as the entries were sporadic. March 21st, 2009. Mom, it's been 20 days since you left. Dad brought Linda home today. She packed everything of yours into black trash bags and threw them out. The rose bushes you planted in the yard were just starting to bud, but she pulled them out. When I got home from school, I found them in your bed together, barely clothed. My hands and feet went numb, and a sour taste rose in my throat. I ran to the bathroom and threw up until there was blood in the toilet. April 1st, 2009. Linda is pregnant. She's afraid of Buddy and wants to get rid of him. But Buddy is a good dog. He never bites anyone. For some reason, Buddy, who is usually so calm, started barking furiously at her today. When Dad came home that night, I heard a dull thud from the yard. I ran outside. In the moonlight, Buddy was lying on his side, his belly rising and falling slowly. I called his name. His tail gave a faint wag, then went still. I picked him up and held him in my lap. He was quiet, just like you were in the hospital. It was a terrifying silence. April 2nd, 2009. This morning, I automatically picked up the bag of dog food and poured it into his empty bowl. The The silence in the room lasted for a few seconds before I knelt and started picking the kibble out, one by one, and putting it back in the bag. I had forgotten. I don't have to feed Buddy anymore. May 21st, 2009. Dad fired Mrs. Gable. She knew about my stomach problems and would make me plain oatmeal. Linda complained to Dad that she was spoiling me and that people like her couldn't be trusted. I begged Mrs. Gable not to go. Her eyes turned red, and she patted my hand, telling me to grow up fast. Later, I told Dad I wanted to go to boarding school. He agreed. Reading Cole's journal, my heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. He was like a small child, repeatedly asking for a piece of candy only to be pushed away each time, until he finally gave up, shoved his empty hands into his pockets, and never asked again. A ridiculous thought crossed my mind. If only I could travel into the pages of this journal, I would hold that little boy and shield him from the world. The diary chronicled 6 long years of recurring pain and loneliness. Then, in 2015, his grandfather appeared. February 17, 2015. Grandfather came back. He took back the company shares from Dad. Linda had a huge fight with Dad when she found out. Grandfather told me I should move to a new city, that time would heal things. February 25, 2015. At the new school, the other kids were intensely curious about the new student. I'm good at handling that. I don't respond, don't engage, and eventually they lose interest. But there's always an exception. In my case, it was my desk mate. The teachers called him a problem student, not because he was a troublemaker, but because he would always sneak in through the back door just as the bell rang. He never paid attention in class, just put his head down and slept. His desk was filled with fantasy novels. He'd read a bit after class, then go back to sleep when the next one started. But his grades, apart from subjects like English and history that required memorization, were surprisingly good. He grinned at me and said he wanted to be my friend. I asked him why. He said it was because I was good-looking. He was so superficial. I told him I didn't need friends. His face fell, and he looked at me with such a pathetic expression, just like Buddy used to. A flicker of softness stirred in me. I told him I don't make friends with slackers, that if he wanted to be my friend, he had to pay attention in class. For him, that was a fate worse than death. I was sure he couldn't do it, but to my surprise, he agreed. February 28, 2015. He's so clingy. He wants to do everything together. He reminds me so much of Buddy. I asked if I could call him Buddy. He tilted his head, blinked, and asked why. It just made him seem even more like Buddy. Because he was so much like my old dog, I agreed to help him with his schoolwork. March 16, 2015. I forgot my stomach medication this morning. Halfway through class, the pain started. I was slumped over my desk, unable to sit up straight. My desk mate told the teacher he had to leave and bolted out of the room without waiting for permission. He came back with a steaming mug of ginger tea. As a result, he had to stand by the trash can for the rest of the day and wasn't allowed to sleep. But he didn't seem to care, nor did he look embarrassed. After class, he came over and told me that from now on, he wouldn't keep novels in his desk anymore. I thought he was finally getting serious about his studies and asked what he would keep instead. He said he'd stock it with soda crackers, rice cakes, and dried hawthorn flakes, things that were good for my stomach that I could eat whenever I felt hungry. I was speechless. May 15, 2015. The midterm results came out today. My idiot deskmate jumped over 50 places in the rankings. A lot of the other students couldn't believe it, but I knew he wasn't dumb, he was just lazy. The moment the results were posted, he leaned in close, his eyes sparkling. He asked if we were friends now. I turned away, pretending to look out the window, trying to hide the smile on my face as the sun warmed my cheeks. He started pacing in frustration, asking why I was being so difficult. May 26, 2015. The school was cracking down on student relationships. Anyone caught was sent to the principal's office. I glanced over at him. His eyelashes were ridiculously long. His expression as innocent as someone who had never skipped homework in his life. I decided to tease him. I leaned in and whispered that I liked boys, asking if he still wanted to be my friend. His face turned crimson all the way to his ears. His mouth opened and closed a few times, revealing his front teeth in a way that made him look like a startled rabbit. I found it amusing how naive he was. I never expected that a few days later, he would hand me a letter. I assumed, given his personality, it would be a letter ending our friendship. I opened it right there. I nearly fell out of my chair when I read the contents. I've actually liked you for a long time. Since you're okay with it, I'm going to start pursuing you. This was not the outcome I had anticipated. This deskmate had to be the first love Mark had mentioned at the bar. There was no one else mentioned as a classmate in Cole's diary. The person Cole wrote about was wonderful, so wonderful it made me jealous. I was moved by his words, happy for him, yet pained by the identity of that person. I sighed and, steeling myself against the bittersweet ache, I read on. From Cole's writing, it was clear that his tolerance and affection for this deskmate grew and grew. July 15, 2018. Mom, I have two very important things to tell you today. The first is that I got into my dream university. The second is that I'm in a relationship with my deskmate Julian Miles. I know this won't be an easy path, but this isn't a whim. We're going to hold each other's hands and walk this path together for a long, long time. Be happy for me, Mom. Someone in this world is willing to love me again. My heart skipped a beat. I stared at the name Julian Miles on the page, unable to process it for a long moment. I couldn't believe in such a coincidence, yet my own memory held none of these shared moments. Studying together, going to the beach, attending the same university. The beach. A buzzing started in my ears, and the world went silent. We were at the beach right now. Suddenly, I remembered the look in his eyes yesterday, filled with a sad, lost longing, as if he were looking at a lover who would never return. The night he was drugged, he must have been calling for Julian. The person he was looking at by the sea was Julian. He hadn't forgotten what happened in his bed that night. He just thought it was with the wrong person, and therefore it didn't matter. So I was Julian Miles, and yet I was not. A sharp, tearing pain ripped through my chest. My first instinct was to slam the journal shut, run from the room, and pretend I had seen nothing. I would resign, make a clean break. But I had to know. I had to know what could have happened to make Cole so cruel as to use an unwitting amnesiac as a stand-in for a lost love. The following entries were a blur of happy university life and a sweet, blossoming romance. They detailed studying together, starting careers, and moving in together. Even the occasional troubles were cast in a soft, gentle light by the constant presence of his lover. That glow was shattered by an accident on January 21, 2023, New Year's Eve. January 21, 2023. A traffic accident made Julian forget me. He remembers everything and everyone else, but not me. I don't know who to blame, the delivery driver who ran the red light, or Julian for insisting on going to pick up that cake. Or maybe the person I should blame most is myself. I'm such a damaged person that everyone wants to leave me. Mom left, Buddy left, Dad never liked me. After Grandpa passed, Julian was all I had. Now he's gone too. I told him we were lovers. He stared at me for 2 seconds, his eyes wide with fear, like a startled deer. He was so cautious around me all day, his fear pushing me further and further into a dark abyss. That evening, I forced a smile and lied. I told him it was a joke, that he was actually my private physician. He was visibly relieved. He believed me. Reading this, I didn't know how to feel. If the person in the diary was truly me, I was lost. The details on these pages made me feel like an empty vessel, a body without a soul. I began to question my own existence. Yet, a part of me hoped it was me. I hoped I was the one who had brought light into Cole's world. I hoped I was the one who had received such a profound and enduring love from him. The diary continued. May 21, 2023. Since Julian lost his memory, I feel like he could disappear at any moment. He didn't want to live in my house, so I insisted he be on call 24/7. He didn't want to accompany me on business trips, so I exploited his kind heart and his weakness for money by offering him an exorbitant salary. I feigned stomach pain every few days just to see him. But it's not enough. This agony of seeing my lover every day and being unable to do anything is unbearable. I want to hold him, to kiss him, to possess him completely. Then one night, after winning a competitive bid, I was forced to drink a lot. A rival slipped something into my glass. How could I not have noticed? The truth is, I let it happen. It was the perfect excuse. I used the drugs and alcohol as a pretext to pin him against the door and tear his clothes from his body once more. I ignored his pleas, disregarded the consequences, and pulled him into a maelstrom of desire. He fled before dawn the next day. Since then, he has reverted to his previous state of avoidance. I've tried to test the waters, but he retreats every time. I regret it now. I shouldn't have given in to that moment of weakness and pushed him even further away. June 16, 2023. To distance himself from me, he actually went to a gay bar. He would rather find a stranger than be with me. The moment I brought him home from that bar, I wanted to tear him apart, or maybe chain him up so he could never leave, never go looking for other men again. He would be mine forever. But I didn't dare. Couldn't bear it. I was afraid of making him unhappy, and I was terrified he would run away for good. I washed him, changed his clothes, and then, fearing I would lose control and hurt him again, I pushed away his kiss. God, what a saint I am. July 15, 2023. I brought him back to this island. The day we made our relationship official, we came to this very beach. We watched the sunrise and sunset and kissed as the last rays of light faded. Today we are back here, but there's a fog between us, and all we have are polite pleasantries. He's still the same. He laughs when he sees the waves, saying the ocean is the most generous friend, that you can throw all your troubles into it and they'll be washed away, leaving only happiness behind. Sometimes I think a person as happy as Julian, what troubles could he possibly have? If he does have any, it's probably meeting me. The ocean is so biased. It took his troubles and his memories, but left me stranded on the shore. Today is Julian's birthday. That day we first kissed. He told me I was the best birthday present God could have given him. Today I've prepared a gift for him too. I want to give him his freedom. Julian, from now on, I won't tie you to my side anymore. I hope you will always be happy. The diary ended there. Tucked into the last page was a faded photograph. At sunset, two teenage boys stood shoulder to shoulder, their eyes shining with laughter. On the back, in faint, worn lettering that was difficult to decipher, were a few words. July 15, 2018. Cole, I want to be with you forever. It was my handwriting. The lock on the door clicked. I turned my head stiffly. Cole was standing in the doorway, clutching a small blue box, his knuckles white. He asked why I was crying, his voice heavy with a sigh. I shook my head and wiped my face, but the tears kept coming. He took a step closer. He asked if he had scared me. He looked tense, carefully choosing his words, preparing to tell another lie. He started to say something, but before he could, I threw myself into his arms, smothering his unspoken words against his chest. Julian always had a way of breaking my heart. He didn't have to say a thing. I could forgive anything, want nothing more than to hold him.
I'm sorry, he sobbed.
I'm so sorry. The one who promised forever was the one who left you alone with all our memories. I'm sorry I still can't remember you. His hands hovered in the air for a moment before they fell, wrapping tightly around my back. He told me I had nothing to apologize for, that I hadn't done anything wrong. I shook my head, unable to imagine the pain of being forgotten by the person you love most, of being the sole guardian of a shared past with no right to a shared future. I looked up at him. I told him I had read the diary, but it hadn't brought anything back. He told me it didn't matter. Covered his mouth with my hand. I told him to listen to me. I said I might not remember, But that didn't stop me from falling in love with him. I told him not to talk about freedom anymore. What would I do with freedom? I only wanted him. We promised forever, and no one was allowed to break that promise. Thinking about the despair in his diary filled me with a retroactive fear. If I hadn't found it, we would have truly lost each other. I don't know how long I cried. Eventually, Cole led me to the sofa and placed the box in my palm. He wished me a happy birthday. It was only then that I realized he had been crying too. His eyes were red-rimmed, and there were 2 wet tracks on his cheeks. For a moment, my mind went blank, and I had the absurd thought that he looked beautiful when he cried. I reached up to wipe away his tears, but he turned his head slightly and asked in a husky voice if I liked my gift. The plain packaging concealed a custom-made sandalwood bracelet. This was Cole's usual tactic for giving me gifts without making me feel obligated, claiming they were from a client or the wrong size or a company bonus. It was a clumsy, transparent ruse, but I had never questioned it. If I hadn't read his diary, I wonder what excuse he would have come up with this time. I fastened the bracelet onto my left wrist, and a fresh wave of tears came. Damn it. I never knew I was such a crybaby. I suddenly remembered a scene from the diary. I grabbed his hand and started pulling him towards the door. He stumbled, asking where we were going. I told him we were going to go kiss under the sunset. My voice was hoarse from crying, but my determination was unwavering. Cole gestured towards the window, pointing out that it was raining and there was no sunset. My spirits deflated instantly, my chest filling with disappointment. My lower lip trembled, and I felt myself about to cry again. He pulled the door shut, leaned in close, and whispered in a voice only I could hear, "So we'll do it right here." My memory may not have returned, but that didn't stop us from getting back to business. After we returned from the island, I terminated my lease and moved into the villa with a speed that both surprised and delighted Cole. Now that our relationship was official, we were young and healthy, and we made the most of our nights. One evening, I placed my hand on Cole's chest, playfully asking him to let Dr. Miles check if his heart was racing. Cole caught my fingers and brought them to his lips for a kiss. He told me to behave and get some sleep. I pulled my hand away, teasing him, asking who it was that had been complaining about an aching back that morning. I asked if he was losing his touch. He gave a low chuckle, then flipped me over and pinned me to the bed. He said he would show me just what his touch was like. I was at his mercy, twisted and turned into various positions, thoroughly enjoying his loving attention until the early hours of the morning, when I was reduced to a boneless puddle. I told him I'd had enough. He said it wasn't enough. I begged him. He told me to call him by his name. I did. He rolled me onto my back, saying that even that wouldn't save me. One day, I brought home a puppy from a local animal shelter. It was a fluffy, snow-white creature. When Cole came home that evening, the little guy trotted over to greet him. Cole bent down and scooped him up. He asked where the dog came from, and I asked if he looked like Buddy. Cole froze for a second, looking from the puppy to me, then pulled me into his arms for a kiss. He agreed that he did. In memory of Buddy, we named him Pip. 3 months later, as Pip grew, I realized I had been mistaken. Buddy was a golden retriever. Pip was a Samoyed. From the expressions on Cole and Arthur's faces, it seemed I was the only one who had thought they were the same breed. But I loved him all the same. The spring sunlight streamed through the windows as we sat around the dining table for lunch. Pip sat by the table, praying for a piece of steak to fall his way. Arthur stood nearby, discreetly wiping a tear from his eye. He remarked that it had been a long time since he had seen his master smile so much. Lately, I had been experiencing dizzy spells and becoming more forgetful. I would search for my phone while holding it, or look for my glasses when they were on my head. Yesterday was the worst yet. I had mistyped a crucial medical term in a research paper. Cole, passing by, had leaned over my shoulder and deleted the error. He told me to take a break, calling me his hardworking Dr. Miles. I rested my head against his firm stomach, inhaling his faint citrus scent. when a wave of panic washed over me. I was so afraid of waking up one day and forgetting him all over again. I told him we should go abroad and get married. My voice was muffled against his shirt. He agreed without hesitation, saying we could leave the next day. He held me with one arm and used his other hand to gently tilt my chin up, forcing me to meet his gaze. He asked if I was sure I wouldn't regret it. I hugged him back tightly. I told him if I ever forgot him again, he could just show me the marriage certificate. I explained that I was traditional. Once it was official, I wouldn't run away. The next day, we flew for 14 hours and landed in Las Vegas. The whole process, photos, signatures, fingerprints, took less than 10 minutes. I held the thin piece of paper, examining it from every angle, reluctant to put it away. When we returned home, we went to a notary's office to arrange for a durable power of attorney and healthcare proxy. The process was complex, involving individual interviews to confirm our consent. Stepping out of the building, the sunlight was blinding. I held up our notarized documents and marriage certificate. I told him he was mine now, legally recognized. He shielded my eyes from the sun with his hand, leaned down, and kissed me. "I'm yours," he affirmed. In the following months, we were both busy. He was focused on his business, and I was immersed in writing my research paper. After months of hard work, I finally completed my presentation. As I walked out of the conference hall, I got a call from Cole. He apologized, explaining that a last-minute meeting had come up and he couldn't pick me up. I told him it was fine, that I would just take a rideshare home. He said he would have Arthur prepare a celebratory dinner, that I deserved it after working so hard. I agreed. After hanging up and saying goodbye to a colleague, I hailed a car. The car had just turned a corner when a delivery scooter shot through a red light. The driver slammed on the brakes. With a loud bang, the car swerved and hit the median barrier. The airbag deployed, and my forehead slammed against the window frame. A loud ringing filled my ears, and the world went silent for a moment before a flood of fragmented images rushed in. A boy with bright eyes and a mischievous smile at the desk next to mine. That same boy pestering me to help him with his homework. His stunned expression after I kissed his cheek. His face, streaked with tears, as he ran towards me lying in a pool of blood. All these scenes played at once, overwhelming my senses. I clutched my head, blood seeping through my fingers, but I couldn't stop the laughter that bubbled up from my chest. After dealing with the police and buying a box of bandages at a pharmacy, I went home, my heart soaring. I pushed open the door of the villa and saw Cole, just about to leave to come find me. I told him I was back. He rushed over, grabbing me and checking me from head to toe, asking about the cut on my head. I smiled at his fussing, then took a step forward, resting my forehead against his chest. I whispered his name. I said I was back. He didn't understand, so I said it again. "Cole Davenport, you're way too handsome. You should be my boyfriend." In the next second, he froze completely. On a sun-drenched summer day by the sea, a reckless Julian Miles had, on a whim, leaned in and pressed a quick, bold kiss to a young Cole Davenport's cheek. "Cole Davenport," he had declared, "you're way too handsome. You should be my boyfriend."